Okay. Let's do this. So I've flown all of these FS Academy missions before, but that's almost like a run through, speed run through the content to say I've completed it, to try and understand as much of it as possible. But I wouldn't say that I have it down to a level of proficiency where I can just intuitively and instinctively remember the right procedure, the right approach, best practice when I'm flying on the routes I want to fly on VATSIM. So as I want to work towards getting that PPL license, the P1 PPLA on VATSIM, I want to come back and I'm going to go through these as many times as I need to until I've built up the muscle memory, but also mentally, that I can just dip into my memory banks and pull out what's needed when I'm flying in anger. So might get through more than just the one lesson here. So in the video there are the links to the FS Academy website where you can pick up all the mission packs, and also a link to the manual that I'm going to be running through, which you should be able to see bottom left on my Open eBoard, which is an app that I'm running. A link to that as well in the video description. And whilst in VR, to be able to manipulate the switches and buttons, I'll be using my point controllers. Link to that in the description as well. So in the VFR Academy, there's lesson 1, basic VFR, lesson 2, which is approach, 3 is circuits, 4 is local flight, 5 is night VFR, 6 is crosswind, 7 is abnormals, and then 8 is mounting flying, with the final one this being actually I say the final one just skips past 9, which is hold on. It says 12 is the VFR skills test, but I don't think that's right. I think that's because you need to also include in that there must be a 9, 10 and 11 that I'm missing. It's not in order. Let's see, are they at the top? There you go, 9, which is the UK trip, 10, which is the USA trip, then 11, the New Zealand trip, and then 12, which is the skills test. There you go, so they're just a bit jumbled on here. So I'm going to jump into lesson 1, get into VFR. And yeah, let's see how this goes. I should check to make sure all my controllers are working actually, part of pre-flight. So here we go. Not sure if this is a better view because I've got to crop the VR window to be able to get it into the Streamlabs window, because we get both left and right eyes in Microsoft Flight Simulator. So let's see. So just to run through that again. Scroll down. So we'll be doing lesson 1 now, possibly lesson 2 as well. Might do 3, depends on how many I can get through in this session and feel comfortable. So basic VFR, approach, circuits, local flight. Then we'll have the night VFR session, the crosswinds, then there's abnormals, mounting flying, and then it's got to scroll all the way back up to the top, where we then see the UK trip, the USA trip, the New Zealand trip, and then we'll come back down and finish off with the skills test. So I might get 1, 2, or maybe 3 missions in per session. It very much depends on the length of the progress and Tom's date I managed to get this flight up. So let me just back out of here for a sec. I'm going to go to the main menu. Let me just check to make sure that my controls are all still functioning and mapped. So let's make sure that the pedals, there we go, right rudder, left rudder. Okay, feel like we're getting a bit of lag, so nothing's on that button now. Nothing on those. Toggle reverse thrust, okay. Okay, I know that's throttle. That's my trim. It's trim. This will be flaps. This. Toggle cockpit view. Okay. Toggle VFR fuel bar. View the lap toolbar. Okay. So it should be good to go. Get back to the custom content and let's start. The Academy. So I'm just going to take a look down at the manual, looking down at my new board, and so we will be going through, like we just spoke about, basics VFR, which will be principles of flight, flight controls, instrumentation, attitudes, trimming, fuel mixture, approach, covers off effective flaps, visual reference points, aiming point, and touchdown. And then 3 is circuit, so the go around, touch and go, and the low circuit. 4 is the local flights, airspace, simplified, VFR weather, minimums, minimum heights, overhead join, VFR cruising levels, and national differences. 5 is the night VFR, so that's night airspace differences. And then 6, crosswinds, so crosswind inputs, drift angles, short field landing. And then 7 covers off abnormal, so aviate, navigate, communicate, DODAR. And then VFR mission 8 is the mountain flying, so valley winds, density of altitude and ridge crossing, valley turns, and VFR trips. And then that's where we go into the UK trip, the USA trip, the New Zealand trip, and then we have the skills test, which is where we need to like go through the use of airport charts and etc. So I won't go through all of the details in the manual. You can download it, you can go through it, goes through setting up the plane, how to ensure that your controls are configured, which would be the best practice panels to be using in game. And then, as you can see here, this is the link that's in the description to take you to the support page. Well, it's not the support page, we minus the support, takes you to the VFR page, but you can just add in support dash or support hyphen VFR if you need any help. So we're going to go through this. It's going to be principles of flight. And whilst we're on the flight, I may change from, let me see if I have it, change from the manual, yep, to navigate charts, and that will hopefully enable us to have live tracking of us in the aircraft. So let me join the session, see if that does it, and puts us Liverpool, John Lennon, Just checking to see if I've got a few stutters going on. For this flight, we're going to be in the Cessna 172, I believe, and yeah, here we are. And has it zoomed in? Yeah, it has zoomed in on the chart. So I might leave the chart up so that you can follow along with where we are. Shouldn't need to reference the manual.
Welcome to Academy Vfr. VFR is Visual Flight Rules, where your primary method of navigation is all about looking out of the windscreen and finding your way. Each lesson has a dedicated section in the manual that dives deeper into the theory to complete your VFR experience, along with maps and charts to reference in flight. We begin here at Liverpool Airport in the Cessna 152 to start you off with basic handling skills and a departure with ATC. We're going to take off from runway 27 and follow the local procedure of following the Mersey River to Seaforth, where we leave the Liverpool control zone. For a normal takeoff, we want to use flaps, which make the wing more effective and reduces our takeoff distance. Please set the flaps to 10 and we'll get started. Airport weather is transmitted by the ATIS, the Automated Terminal Information Service. Weather changes as the day goes on, so each weather report is given an identifying letter, which moves along the alphabet every time a new report is transmitted. Let's listen to the ATIS whilst we wait for the engine to warm up.
Liverpool Information Juliet, time 09500, runway in use 27, surface wind 260, 4 knots, visibility 10 km or more, clouds scattered 3,000 feet. Cloud type unknown, temperature +15, dew point +4, QNH 1013. Ground movement control is closed. Acknowledge receipt of information Juliet on first contact.
We now have weather information Juliet, so we can call air traffic control and request our departure instructions. Liverpool Tower, Golf Foxtrot Sierra Alpha Charlie Cessna 152 at Kilo with information Juliet, request clearance and taxi.
Golf Alpha Charlie Liverpool Tower, after departure leave the zone at Seaforth, not above altitude 1,500 feet VFR, squawk 5050.
Leave via Seaforth, not above 1,500 feet VFR, 5050 Golf Alpha Charlie.
Golf Alpha Charlie correct, taxi to hold short runway 27 at Golf, QNH 1013.
Okay, so we've contacted the tower and they've said we can leave the control zone to the north at our exit point Seaforth, but we must stay below 1,500 feet the whole way there. We'll aim for 1,400 feet to give a margin. Release the brakes and taxi to the holding point to Golf for runway 27. Leave the apron by taking the taxiway on your left, then make a left turn onto Alpha, the main parallel taxiway, before taking the first right to hold short of the runway.
Keeping an eye out for any other traffic that's maneuvering. I know there isn't in this mission, but it's all about maintaining good habit.
Take this right and hold at Golf. Good, now come to a stop before the holding line and we'll tell ATC we're ready to go. We say ready for departure as we only use the word takeoff as part of an actual takeoff clearance to avoid misunderstandings. Golf Alpha Charlie ready for departure.
Golf Alpha Charlie cleared line up and takeoff, runway 27, wind 260 at 4.
Cleared line up and takeoff, runway 27, Golf Alpha Charlie. We're cleared for takeoff, pull onto the runway, line up on the centre line and we'll depart. Keep the nose straight down the centre line and apply full power. Use some right rudder to counteract the engine torque to keep straight on the centre line.
Airspeed
Smoothly
line.
pull back and raise the nose, engine cowling on the horizon.
Rotate. Positive rate climb.
But now hold the climb attitude and keep climbing straight ahead. Now we're safely climbing away, we don't need our flaps anymore. Please retract the flaps and we'll climb more efficiently. See how the nose drops as we lose lift? Add some back pressure on the controls to hold the climb attitude. Accelerate to 80 knots and we'll get the lift back. Great, keep full power and adjust the attitude to control your speed. Aim for 80 knots. If you get slow, lower the nose slightly. If you get fast, raise the nose slightly. Now turn right to follow the Mersey River northbound. Continue flying up the Mersey, climbing to 1,400 feet. Try to memorise this climbing attitude. Level off 1,400 feet, keeping full power to accelerate to 100 knots. As our increased airspeed gives more lift, feel how you need to push forwards to remain level. To relieve this input, trim nose down until you don't need to apply any control force to stay straight and level. Now you can power back a little to hold 100 knots. Maintain 1,400 feet up the Mersey, staying over the water.
Little high. Trimming to try and mitigate the need to keep applying back pressure. Apply a bit of throttle because the nose has dropped and we're losing altitude. Need to stay within 50 feet of our assigned altitude. Okay, 1,400 feet, 100 knots.
Golf Alpha Charlie, contact Liverpool radar 119.85.
11985 Golf Alpha Charlie. We're being handed over to Liverpool Approach Control now, who we'll be in contact with until we leave controlled airspace at Seaforth. Liverpool radar Golf Foxtrot Sierra Alpha Charlie, Liver Buildings, 1,400 feet to Seaforth VFR.
Golf Alpha Charlie, roger, report Seaforth.
Wilco Golf Alpha Charlie. Seaforth is the exit point for VFR traffic departing Liverpool to the north. It's found on the east shoreline, just beyond where the western shoreline ends.
Scanning gauges, trying to make sure not creeping away from our assigned altitude, and we've increased by about 40 feet. So just adjusting the throttle, putting it back a bit, rather than chasing it with control yoke inputs.
Golf Alpha Charlie, Seaforth outbound. Request basic service.
Golf Alpha Charlie, roger, basic service.
Basic service, Golf Alpha Charlie. Now we've reached the edge of the Liverpool control zone at 1,400 feet airspace. There is airspace above us, which begins at 3,500 feet upwards, so anything below that is uncontrolled. It's completely up to us to navigate and avoid other traffic. UK ATC can provide either a basic service or a traffic service to VFR flights in uncontrolled airspace. We've been given a basic service from ATC, which means they can pass us important information such as airfield closures or severe weather, but won't provide any clearances or traffic information. Depending on their workload, they may be able to provide a traffic service, where they will also give information about any known nearby traffic to help you, but will not provide avoidance instructions. Keep flying north, and as you did before, apply full power, set the climb attitude, and climb to 3,000 feet. The speed will come back towards around 80 knots, so with the lower speed we lose lift and the nose will want to drop. Apply nose-up trim to neutralise the control pressure, holding the climb attitude all the time.
Had a bit of an invection, or was it convection, updraft as we came across Seaford. Started climbing. Do love the way that Microsoft Flight Simulator incorporates that. Okay, trimmed in the climb. Zero back pressure. Might need to apply some right aileron though, as we're canting to the left. Can't remember where the aileron trim is in this plane. I actually don't even know if it has one. So the reason I wanted to do all the VFR lessons as well is because the majority of them are in the Cessna 172, and for the...
Start levelling off and maintain 3,000 feet. Accelerate again to 100 knots.
For the P1 license, flights have to be completed in either the Cessna 172 or the Piper Arrow 28, basically a fixed gear
Again,
aircraft.
as we accelerate, trim nose down to cancel out the control pressure.
So I have the Just Flight PA-28 Warrior for all of my VFR flying, so that I can...
As we're now higher up, the air is thinner, so to preserve the optimal fuel-to-air ratio of the engine, we'll reduce the fuel mixture slightly. Use the red mixture control next to the throttle and pull it back only about a centimetre or so, and see how the engine revs rise as the engine is running more efficiently.
So
Let's try a few turns. We only want to bank to about 20 degrees for a gentle turn, which is the second white mark around the top of the attitude indicator. Start a right turn towards east, heading 090.
Just remember to apply some back pressure as the nose will want to drop as the right wing stops producing lift.
Stop your turn on 090 and set the straight and level attitude again.
Okay, maintains 3,000 feet then. So yeah, I've got the PA-28 Warrior 2, because I want to make sure that all of my VFR flying is in a...
For now, maintain a heading of 090.
that I will be taking my lessons in.
When turning, use gentle rudder inputs to keep the black ball on the turn coordinator centered for comfortable and efficient turning. Make a coordinated right turn to west, heading 270, keeping the ball centered.
Okay, 20-degree bank. Right rudder. control the pitch of the nose so we don't climb or descend.
As we turn, the lift from our wings isn't pointing straight upwards anymore, so to stay at our altitude, we need to increase the angle of attack slightly to get some extra lift. You can feel this as the need to hold back pressure on the elevator.
Rolling out onto 70.
Roll out on heading west and set us back to straight and level.
Maintain 4,000 feet, give or take 20 feet. I'm spending a lot of time watching the gauges.
Next, we'll try a speed change to see how it influences our straight and level sight picture. Bring the power right back to idle and decelerate to 60 knots.
Need to make sure I don't descend.
As we lose lift, trim nose up to keep the control pressures neutralised. You'll need to raise the nose slightly to increase our angle of attack to make up for the lost airspeed. Set power for 60 knots and retrim for level flight. Maintain 60 knots. See that our new straight and level attitude has a higher nose. This is our slow flight attitude.
Not at 60 knots yet. I'm climbing, trying not to get above my assigned altitude by more.
Now make a turn either to the left or the right, back to heading 090, keeping the ball centred.
By more than 100 feet. See if I can lose it in the turn. All the way through this I should have been able to maintain 3,000 feet without the deviations and the speed.
Now accelerate us back to 100 knots, keeping straight and level throughout. Use some right rudder to counter the engine forces.
VFR should be looking out the window more, but I'm really conscious of scanning my gauges to maintain the correct profile, height, speed, heading.
Fantastic. That concludes your first VFR lesson.
I'm not 100% happy though. Through the turns. Okay, so it's excuse me, as far as FS Academy is concerned, all of the deviations were with intolerance, and I'm not a robot, can't expect that. However, I would have liked to have maintained more than, so what did I have at one point? I think I deviated by 100 feet, maybe 110 feet, possibly it was 105. Airspeed through that turn, the deceleration down to 60 knots I didn't nail. I dropped below 60 knots, I think I got to like 45, maybe 50, and then I didn't get to hold 60. I went back through 60 to about 65, 70 before the next course changes came in. So I was probably saved by the short duration, or the short period between one set of maneuvers and the next set of maneuvers. But yeah, good enough. But definitely I would like to be able to maintain a much tighter discipline when it comes to maintaining the correct speed, altitude, through any turns. And it's always through the turns. It's always through the turns where it's possible to deviate, because as instructor mentioned, the lift generated by the wings is no longer directly perpendicular with the ground, straight up, straight down. So there's a lot going on. And normally, when you jump into a flight simulator, I know I do, when you jump into a flight simulator, especially a combat flight simulator, you're not as conscious of maintaining good discipline over your aircraft's flight profile. However, considering I want to do 90% plus, I want to do 100%, but let's start with 90% plus of my civil aviation flight simming on VATSIM. I want to make sure that as a pilot on VATSIM, I'm exactly where ATC asks me to be when I'm in controlled space, and that I'm doing exactly what they expect me to be doing. Not that I'm one of the pilots who have jumped onto VATSIM but haven't done the due diligence to ensure that I'm a safe, predictable aviator. So anyway, that's lesson 1 done, basic controls. Let's see, you can probably do the next lesson 2. So you can see, so it hasn't docked me any points. So I will take that. I won't overthink it. I'll just take mental notes for improvement, or areas for improvement, I should say, for the next flight.